This time of the year, when we begin to walk into Thanksgiving and ultimately Christmas, is the time that many of us are thinking a lot. We're thinking a lot about our life, analyzing, contemplating, and trying to process everything that took place this year. And sometimes we may feel as though we're thinking too much. However, if we can use it responsibly, we can actually benefit from some of these thoughts and really analyze the situation while we're in the moment as well as the holiday season. I was thinking the other day about some things that we can take into consideration during this time of year, because I've heard clients say, hey, this is my favorite time of year. I've heard clients say, here, we're opening literally the windows and doors to hell at this point in time. Many people literally do not like this time of year because it's so stressful and so overwhelming. And so I wanted to add some thoughts and some tips and tricks to making this time of year a little bit easier and putting things into a responsible perspective so we don't get overwhelmed or exceedingly stressed out. So let's start with the first thing. Remembering that this holiday, it's just another day. It's another day. Now, I'm not talking about playing it up or playing it down, making it less, making it more. I'm just saying it's just another day. And so we want to look at it as a regular day. We want to look at making the most of the moment, whether we're with a bunch of people, with family, with people we want to be with people we might not want to be with. If we're solo, not solo, we want to make the most out of those moments and trying to figure out how we can be productive or do things in that moment instead of really thinking about the past or going into what we want the future to be. And this is really important because holidays can get us off target sometimes because we can reminisce about the past, or we can think about what we haven't had, or we can think about what we want to have, and in the process kind of missing that moment altogether and wondering, what did I do those last few days? And so definitely kind of thinking about that type of thing and realizing that even if you are solo, taking into consideration, what can I do to help myself? What can I do to benefit? What are some things that I can create or do right now in the moment where I actually have some time to do something? If you're on your own, or even if you are with other people, we still have time. And that's one of the biggest things that I want to recommend is that if you're spending a lot of time with family right now, spending some downtime with yourself. And I don't mean downtime, I just mean some relaxation time away from them. So making sure that you're taking some time for yourself. If you're solo, you are taking time for yourself, but using that time wisely. And I suggest really looking at your year in review. I have a full podcast coming out about reviewing your year, analyzing, understanding, seeing it, and being able to really create what we want for this next year by understanding the opportunities we had, by understanding the accomplishments that we've made, and by ultimately understanding what we learned about ourselves here in 2022 and in this year. Because this is very important because we want to look at what we've learned. What have we learned? Some of these learning lessons could have been really, really happy and wonderfully positive. Some of them maybe not so much, but it's about the learning process and what we learned about ourselves and what we want to take into the next year and make sure that we're really accomplishing what we want to do and seeing ourselves in our true form. Another thing is understanding the experiences that we had. Experiences really change our life forever. Are there some experiences that you definitely want to have in this upcoming year? What are those? And taking this time to actually journal on those. So whether you're taking an hour away from family to start writing down in that journal some of the opportunities and accomplishments that you've created, some of the learning and experiences that you've had, or if you're solo doing this as well, taking that time to do that. And this can really help us to begin to put this coming year into perspective and really see what happened this year. Because a lot of times we define things certain ways, good or bad, happy, sad, whatever, but it's really taking away from that definition and really seeing it holistically since we're looking back in that year in review. And so I definitely have that podcast coming out. And as soon as we get it posted, we will definitely put the link. But right now, the link to the general podcast will be here in the description below. And so this can be very helpful. Another thing that I really want to suggest is trying not to judge this experience negatively. I think we have a tendency, especially during the holidays, maybe things don't go the way that we had planned. Maybe it's the same thing again and we're wondering, are we going to replay the situation over and over again? Or we feel like our hands are tied or we can't make choices we want or whatever it is. But trying not to judge the situation in this really negative way and being able to kind of step back and look at it really kind of as a holistic situation and seeing, okay, what is it that I can change? If I'm unhappy, what is it that I can change? What is it that I can change for this following year? What can I do right now to gain some peace and comfort in my life as I'm dealing maybe with this family member or this situation that's maybe adding some stress in my life? Can I start putting myself first, and maybe I don't sit next to this person and I don't cause a scene, but maybe I decide to sit next to somebody that I really enjoy talking to, or somebody that doesn't push my buttons. If I don't really want to be in the kitchen, then get out of the kitchen. If I don't want to be sitting next to somebody in the living room, get out of the living room. Doing something for yourself and being proactive. I think that we find ourselves in the same type of situation year after year, and we wonder, when is this going to change? Well, it's not going to change until we make a change. So definitely thinking things that you can do right now in real time to make yourself feel more at peace, more comfortable, and more happy. Basically more happy or feeling more comfortable in your own skin. Another thing that I find very interesting during this time of year is relationships. Relationships take center stage. Some of these relationships that we have in our life are super successful and going super well, and we're really happy about it. We're feeling very good. We're feeling very content. There are other relationships that aren't, and they're not going that well, and there are challenges and problems in these relationships, and those can really weigh on us during the holiday season. And so really thinking about what needs to change, what needs to be augmented in these relationships where they can work more successfully. Is there something that can be done? What are the actions that can be taken by you and the other person in the situation? First off, by you to begin to make these changes. But second of all, can these changes work? Can we try that? Or do we have to ultimately move on? But I think we have to always exhaust every opportunity. And so if you're having a challenging relationship with a spouse, a significant other, a family member, a mother, father, whatever, really taking a look at that relationship and the strife that's in that relationship and understanding, what is it that needs to be changed? Is there anything that I can do? How can I augment things? Is there a conversation that we can have, that we can schedule to have, so we can begin to talk? And it might not be the best conversation the first time out, but being able to open those lines of communication. Because if the relationship matters at all, we want to exhaust all opportunities, but we don't want to keep repeating the same thing. Many of you have created these workarounds your whole life, or the last 5, 10 years, whatever. You try to work around the problem. But when we work around, does it really work, or are we just kicking the can down the road? And so definitely thinking about that, because during the holiday season, relationships are center stage. The last thought that I want to bring up in today's video is really looking to work to see your value. I think that many of us don't see our own value. We put ourselves down. We're really, really challenging on ourselves. We judge ourselves, and we need to begin to see ourselves. We need to begin to see our value, and we need to ask those big questions. What do we want in life? What do I want to do in life? What do I want my life to look like? And I think many of us come from that codependent standpoint. I understand that I'm a recovering codependent, and those are the questions I've never asked. Those are the questions that I'm asking now, and I've been working with lately in the last few years, but for a long time in my life, I never asked that question. I never thought about, what do I want? What do I want my life to look like? It was like, what do I need to do for this person? Or what do I need to do for that person? What will make this relationship good? Or what does that person need? And I want you to begin to ask those questions and journal on that. And that might even seem like selfish question, like, what do I want? Or what do I want my life to look like? In the beginning, I might feel like, oh my gosh, I'm asking myself these selfish questions. But it's not selfish at all, isn't it? It's about really finding what you want in life and analyzing, how do we get there? And are we on the trajectory to get there? Whatever that looks like, if it's in relationships or whatever it looks like, where and how do we get there? And that's something I really want you to focus on this holiday season coming in, especially with this kickoff right now, is instead of thinking about what hasn't happened or what we want so badly, how about asking the questions so that we can understand what we want and get a roadmap to how to get there. I hope this video has helped you. Please share it with any family and friends that might be struggling as well or questioning their life. I think we all have the right to question. We all have the right to ask those big questions, and we all need to try to find those answers within, and we got to give ourselves enough time to find the answers within and be able to write those down and say, okay, how do I orchestrate this? How do I create this? How do I make this happen? And how do I really focus on this? And I think this is the perfect time right now to begin to do that, since you can work on your year in review as well and really analyze what that looks like to you. So get that journal out, take that time, whether you're with a group load of people or you're solo for this time, really take a little bit of time, a few hours a day, to start writing on this so that we're in a really good spot later on this year. Don't forget to live your true life.